Paris has long been considered the heart of haute couture. Names like Dior, Saint Laurent, and Givenchy dominated the fashion world, setting the standards of elegance and craftsmanship. But in 1973, something extraordinary happened at the Palace of Versailles. In a night now known as the Battle of Versailles, a group of American designers went toe-to-toe with French legends and changed fashion history forever. It was a clash of style and culture, and it would forever redefine the global fashion stage. The Battle of Versailles wasn't just a fashion show. It was a charity event with a cultural statement. In 1973, the Palace of Versailles was in urgent need of restoration. The French government and cultural institutions wanted to raise funds to preserve the iconic palace, which is a symbol of French history, art, and power. To make the fundraiser spectacular, the organizers decided to stage a fashion showdown between the French haute couture and the American emerging designers. On the one side, you had the French masters, Yves Saint Laurent, Hubert de Givenchy, Pierre Cardin, Emmanuel Ungaro, and Marc Bohan of Dior. These designers represented decades, sometimes centuries of tradition. They were the arbiters of elegance, known for the refinement of Parisian couture. And on the other side were 5 American designers, Oscar de la Renta, Houston, Bill Blast, Anne Klein, and Stephen Burrows. At the time, American fashion was considered practical, commercial, and ready to wear. It lacked the prestige and cultural cachet of Parisian couture. The American designers were innovative, experimental, and energetic, but no one expected them to hold their own against the Parisian elites. The cultural stakes were high because France had dominated fashion for centuries and saw itself as the undisputed authority on style. For the Americans, this was a rare opportunity to prove that US fashion could not only compete but also challenge the hegemony of Parisian couture. The event also took place during a period of social and political change. The early 1970s saw shifts in global culture with feminism, civil rights, and the rise of American pop culture. So fashion was beginning to show this energy, and the Versailles event became a symbolic clash between tradition and modernity. Europe and America, aristocratic refinement and youthful innovation. Even the logistics of the show reflected these divides. The French had control, highly choreographed presentations emphasizing precision and poise. The Americans introduced movement, music, and personality, bringing energy and spontaneity into the runway. In short, the Battle of Versailles was more than fundraising. It was a statement about the evolution of fashion, culture, and power. At the end of the night, it was clear that American designers had arrived on the global stage and that fashion would never be the same. The event itself was lavish, with the palace ornate halls as a background. The stakes were high because this wasn't just a fundraiser, it was a literal fashion battle between continents. The French designers presented classic couture in its most polished form. The models moved with precision, wearing long, elegant silhouettes. Each outfits emphasized structure, refinements, and meticulous tailoring, showcasing the craftsmanship for which Paris had long been famous. The French presentation was technically flawless but formal, while it highlighted elegance and history. Some critics noted that it lacked energy and theatricality compared to the Americans. The show was a display of tradition, almost like a living museum of haute couture, where every step and every pose was measured. Then came the Americans. Oscar de la Renta, Houston, Bill Blass, Anne Klein, and Stephen Burrows. Their approach was completely different. Instead of stiff, controlled walks, their models walked with freedom, they danced, and they projected their personalities. You could truly feel the energy. They were vibrant fabrics, bold colors, and flowing silhouettes, contrasted sharply with the French restraints. Stephen Burrows introduced flowing dresses with stripes and vivid colors, emphasizing movements. The models, including Pat Cleveland, Bethan Hardison, and Alva Chen, became stars of the nights, walking with charisma and vitality that made the clothes feel alive. The Americans incorporated music, rhythm, and personality, turning the runway into a performance instead of a presentation. This contrast between the French precision and the American energy is what made the show unforgettable. It was the first time many in Paris had seen a runway show that prioritized movement, emotion, and entertainment, not just perfection in silhouettes. By the end of the night, the audience erupted in applause for the Americans. Many French designers and critics acknowledged that the US contingent had stolen the show. The event became a symbolic victory for American fashion, demonstrating that it could stand on equal footing with the Parisian giants. Importantly, the show also marked a shift in the modeling world. The American designers featured black models prominently, which was revolutionary at the time. Their presence brought a new energy and diversity to high-profile runway presentations, setting a precedent for future generations of fashion shows. By the time the night ended, it was clear that American fashion had arrived, and the traditional hierarchy of culture had been challenged. Before 1973, American fashion was often dismissed as practical but uninspired, overshadowed by the grandeur of Parisian couture. The Versailles show proved that US designers could compete on the world stage, combining creativity, modernity, and technical skill. The event helped establish American fashion as a serious force, no longer secondary to European houses. They introduced energy, movement, and personality into runway shows. This approach changed expectations globally. Fashion shows became events designed to entertain, captivate, and inspire rather than just present clothes. Today's elaborate runway shows, from theatrical productions to immersive experiences, can trace their roots back to that night in Versailles. The Battle of Versailles continues to be celebrated as a turning point in fashion history. It's studied in fashion schools, documented in books, and remembered in exhibitions. It influenced runway presentation styles, model selection, and the global perception of American fashion. Most importantly, it showed that fashion could be entertaining, inclusive, and revolutionary, all in one night. The Battle of Versailles was more than a fashion show. It was a cultural moment, a statement about innovation, diversity, and confidence. It proved that fashion isn't just about tradition and technique. It's about energy, identity, and daring to be different. For the French, it was a reminder that the world was changing. For the Americans, it was a declaration that their creativity could stand alongside the greatest couture houses. And for the history books, it became one of the most iconic nights in fashion history. That's it for this video. Do not hesitate to leave a comment, to ask me any question, and I will see you next week for a different one. Take care. Bye.